Hello, everyone. Welcome to Minemo Connect and to Consecutivos. Minemo Connect is one of 5 live video series from Minemo channel produced by Consecutivos. Minemo channel is transmitted live every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Brasilia time zone. Minemo channel is comprised by Minemo Bio, Minemo Book, Minemo Science, Minemo Cast, and Minemo Connect. On Minemo Connect, we discuss conscienciology subjects, especially those related to Seriexology, through debate and interviews. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the topic of ego defense mechanisms in Seriexological self-research. And to debate with us tonight, we are going to have 2 guest speakers who I will introduce after a short video. Hello, everyone. This is Minemo Connect, and I would like to introduce our first guest of tonight's debate. Our first guest is Roberto Leimig. Roberto has a degree in biological sciences and a master's degree in ecology. He is a university teacher in the areas of botany, ecology, evolution, environmental studies, and systematics. He started conscienciology studies in 1991, becoming a volunteer in 1993. He's a conscienciology teacher since 1996 and penta practitioner since 2000. Author of the book Vidas de Naturalista in 2015, and a conscienciological epicenter, Epicon, since 2017. He currently performs volunteer work and research at the Center for Higher Studies in Conscienciology, CIEC, and the International Association for Seriexological and Holobiographical Research, Consecutivos. Good evening, Roberto. Welcome. First of all, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Hello, Weber. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to stay with you to debate some such theme of such importance for us. Thank you for the invite me.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to bring our next guest to the studio. Our second debater tonight, our second guest tonight is João Paulo Costa. João Paulo Costa is a psychologist born in Rio de Janeiro. He got in touch and discovered conscienciology in 1996 and has been a volunteer since 2000. He's a conscienciology teacher and penta practitioner since 2009, and he is a Consecutivos volunteer since 2014. He is one of the founders of Consecutivos. João Paulo, thank you for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight as well. And feel free to say a few words as you like.
All right, thank you for having me. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Depends on where you are. And it's always a pleasure to be discussing things in conscienciology, especially in Seriexology. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to make a quick observation here. We normally have these debates in the Minemo Connect live every month with 5 Thursdays, right? But in this special occasion, we have recorded this video, and we are going to show and to broadcast the video on the regular time and date. But if you are all welcome to participate, to send questions through our channel. Uh, from now on, you may, feel free to make comments, and we will make our best to respond to all of you. And also to subscribe. It's an invitation for you guys to subscribe to our channel and to receive notifications and the news from our channel. Okay, so tonight we are going to talk about the ego defense mechanisms in the Seriexological self-research. So to start off, I would like to ask you both to comment a little bit on the topic of tonight's debate. What concepts do you think are important to approach, just to level our knowledge, and to start from a common ground, and then move on for deeper and more advanced topics.
Can have a short comment for beginning. I think that Seriexology, when we start to study Seriexology, we have to face a lot of things, a lot of challenges. One of these challenges, without doubt, is to face the fear of the ego. The mechanism of defense of the ego is one of the first thing that you have to face to go on research, because we are deal with memory, our memory. Yeah, and what about our past memory? It's much more bigger than the actual memory. So we have to face a lot of things, a lot of traits of personality that we are that are inside of us. You have to face to face and change, try to change it. A lot of wrong actions and options of in the past lives. So you have to face this, and you usually people I have to I used to perceive that people used to have fear of these things. It's one of the most problem to face to evolve with the research in sexology. I don't know if John Paulo thinks the same, but I think it's very important to study the ego mechanism of defense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Roberto is right. And I would add that these ego mechanisms of defense are being deeply studied since Freud, more than a century ago. And we have a new kind of um, view when we are talking about seriexological past lives, because sometimes if we are studying someone or a personality in the past that might be us in the past, we have to understand how we are now as much as we can, and study as much as we can, again, the personality in the past, because these kind of self mechanisms can influence in our judgments, in our point of view, and things we observe in the personality in the past. And we have to combine, if we are right in the right track in the study, we have to uh, understand that we combine ourselves now and understand ourselves now, and we combine with this personality we are studying. You know what I mean? So we have many things that it doesn't match exactly the way we could think that would happen. And we have to understand the way we behave now and the way the personality behaved in the past. with the same temperament. We know that temperament just doesn't change very much, but it changed. But we have a different context, zeitgeist, and a different kind of life and thousands of things. But we are the same, and we must have a wide view of these kind of things. We see us and understand ourselves, self-research for of our personality nowadays, and a research of the personalities in the past, and see what matches, what doesn't match, and what it may conflict both personalities, and uh, much more personalities if we study more than one, for example.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that you covered a broad, aspect, broad view. You gave a broad view of the conscienciological and especially seriexological research, and the hindrances and the difficulties that any person interested in researching past lives and self-researching in Seriexology may face. Um, and I would like to highlight, or actually to uh, talk a little bit about the themes, trying to make, to pinpoint some of the topics, the themes and the subjects that you commented. First, memory is one important thing that Roberto talked about a little bit. I understand that our memory works as some sort of filter in our perception, and our perception at the same time can filter what goes to our memory, right? So, and one of the aspects that you commented, the people have fear to face, things and happenings in their lives, and this thing of this characteristics of self-defense mechanisms, ego self-defense mechanisms, they affect our memory, right?
Yeah, all kinds of emotion can affect our memory and our perception of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
a good point.
I used to say that everyone has evidence, have signals of your past. So retrocognition doesn't occur only during some paraphenomena, special paraphenomena. Retrocognition is in our daily life. So think about the place that you rebirth, the place you rebirth, your family, your relationships, and the neighborhood, professional relations, yeah, during all your life, since your childhood, for example, you had a lot of kinds of relationships. Bad, you construct bad memories and good memories. It's the same along the axis. We have good memories from the past and bad memories. When you used to when we start to study Seriexology, we used to evoke this memory, good and bad memory. So of course you used to like good memories, but the reality is you can't control all of the reality. So you start to evoke. You have this evocation used to you have to bring some reactions in the emotions, your body of emotions, your energy, your body of energy, the energosoma. So you have a lot of repercussion, a huge range of repercussion in your life. So you have to, or you have to face it, or what you have to do. You are just using ego mechanism of defense because the past is in the present. You can't
Mm-hmm.
change it. The past is in the present. So you have to face and start to research, to try to change this the way of thinking, way of react, your emotion, your energy, to change this memory that bring us a lot of different way of reactions. So it's a challenge to study seriexology because we have a lot of things to do with your ego.
Mm-hmm.
Can't escape this.
Yes. From your experience, I know that you both are teachers at the School of Consecutive Personality. The School of Consecutive Personality is a course that is offered in Consecutivos to present techniques and to actually help those students that are interested in the Seriexological research to, uh, you know, learn the techniques and to actually evolve the techniques and their self-research in group, right? Through 1.5 year. From your experience, uh, what are the most common self conflicts generating ego defense that delay or to prevent the advancement of a self research?
Yes, I think in general, just a comment. Then you can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to jump on comment also. I think people used to have a problem with self-image.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes very positive in such aspects, in order have a bad image of yourself. During a long lot of lives, along the Seriexology, lots of life we had have. So we have to face with serenity this difference among the different lives. So we have to face this, to start to research in order to have some kind of vaccination, something like that. You have
Mm-hmm.
to prevent your
Mm-hmm.
reactions because you are studying yourself. You can. We had used to have had made good things and bad things. It's normal. Everyone had this. So you have to face this as a normal. We have
Mm-hmm.
good traits, bad traits, but when people used to start, the distortion or displacement of the self-image uh, bring a lot of difficult to go on the research. I think this distortion of self-image for more or less, sometimes for less, people used to think this should have bad lives or bad thoughts so during the life. So we have to deal with it naturally
Mm-hmm.
to face this difference among lots of lives we have had.
So we should try to balance
To
uh,
balance our
yeah, our approach when it's a good let's say variable
self-image
for us to yeah.
yeah, the self-image and the hetero image, because you have
Mm-hmm.
to confront
Mm-hmm.
them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what people used to say about you, and what you think
Mm-hmm.
about you, what you
Mm-hmm.
when you are doing research, you find some personality that you can compare and identify specific traits about yourself and that personality. If that personality is a high relation with you, perhaps must be you yourself during a past life, you face a big challenge to recognize these traits, to face what is positive, what is negative, and you can balance this image
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
yourself because it's your curriculum, your history, your all about our history.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. João Paulo?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because we um, we can have many conflicts, and it's hard to say in a specific one. But what I think it's common between much more, it is um, when we start to study, we have many sources of information. If the personality we are studying is kind of very registered in the history, this means there are many points of view depends on what kind of information you are tracking, the author, the biographer, whoever done the research, and you are trying to find it. And yet we have our retrocognitions as well. We must understand those too. But I think what is most common is when someone try to um, have a kind of bias and attach himself to that way of vision, and sometimes fall in love for himself in the past, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
try to just filter the things he doesn't like or bad things, like Roberto just said, and get and try to connect only with the things that are nice, comfortable, you know, uh, good things these personalities in the past have done. And this is a kind of, I think, a kind of self mechanism of defense, because the facts are the facts. It doesn't change. Only what can change is the way someone see the thing, and the way we can understand the facts and interpret the facts. There are very good. I think it's an article or a entry of the Encyclopedia of Conscientiology that from Roberto about meta-analysis or meta biographies, when we try to read as much as we can for many kinds of sources, documentaries, books, articles, whatever we have to have a wide variety of information about the personality we are tracking, or personality, or maybe time in history we are trying to understand more. That it can help us to have a better or a more um, truthful point of view when we see many you know sources. And but what I think it is about this, when we are too connected with only with the good things, the things we wish the personality have done very good, and we admire that, and we take the rest apart. It's a little bit dangerous, because when we do that, we get off from the reality. And the facts are the
Mhm.
facts, as I said in the beginning. We can't uh, be so disconnected with the facts, even if in in the past, and we don't really have all the perfect information of everything that happened and how we done or the personality did things in the past. So this might be one of the most common things that happen in this kind of subject.
One fact related with this, I was remember here. Uh, we will have. It's certain that we will have certain of kinds of constraints when we are comparing ourselves with other personalities, because these personalities in the past have usually have a biography with different approaches. So we have a very negative approach, we have very very positive approach sometimes. You used to pass to feel some constraints because it related, especially with our emotions. Our emotions is much more in the past we can reach. We will feel some more and more constraints because we were
Mhm.
more primitive. So we used to have had done something very strange and primitive and
Mhm.
without ethics, without notion, without rationality. So we have to prepare to face this because our history. Think about your childhood, for example, your phase of teen. We have done something that is not some kinds of, for example, to to deal with animals, to deal with nature, with plants.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like a hunter, you used to have some aspect of behavior that are not. It's maturity. So everyone have your part of maturity.
Mhm.
Use this is related, especially with our past, without doubt.
Things that
It's
we
a
may
good
have.
analogy. When sorry,
Mhm.
go
No,
on.
just to comment, things that we may feel shame of, right?
Yeah,
If we think of, for
lots
instance,
of, lots
yeah.
of.
So this is one of the triggers of our ego defense mechanism, right? When we feel shame, we may
Yeah,
deny that stuff, or we try not, to block that memory or something like that. Jean Paul, please.
Oh no, just you know, uh, the same that Roberto just said. We when we do this analogy about our childhood or our toddlerhood, when we done things that we are ashamed of, when we made mistakes and things sometimes we laugh at, but that was wrong sometimes, and we have to get ready for the next life when we going to do things again, immature things in our next childhood, our next uh, toddlerhood,
Teenage.
and
Hmm.
when we see these personalities in the past that we might be them, um, there are some mistakes they made. Probably we
Hmm.
were more immature there than we are now. Even we've done good things as well, but the probably we the tendency is to be more ashamed of these things these personalities did in the past. So we must get ready for that.
Hmm. You mentioned that one of the sources of information when we do self research in Seriexology is biographies, right? Biographies and uh, historical books and writings in general. But what other sources the researcher can have or can use to evolve in the Seriexological self research?
If it's external of us, books, documentaries, documents, articles, any kind of information, even movies.
Mhm.
But we cannot forget about retrocognition, which are the more truthful source of information we can have. If it's in
Mhm.
our memory and we reconnect to that memory, we can access that memory, that period of time, or that fact that happened. It's it's a best thing that we can experience, and yet we must be very mature for retrocognitions,
Mhm.
because not, it doesn't mean it will be nice to remember some things, and we still have to understand that facts are facts, and when we reach that memory, we have to interpret in the try to a neutral way. And I have another hypothesis that things we remember in the past are things that we are emotionally connected, or it had a very deep emotion effect in ourselves in the past to be, to come out now. You know what I mean? So probably things we must deal with more carefully now, um, to be, to be more honest with this kind of, memory and information we reconnect with.
Yes, today I think today is very easy. You start your research because you have a lot of publications, books, articles. Of course, you have to study history, study biography, and but the self research is fundamental because you
Mhm.
have there you have lots of traits, the mechanism of consciousness. The inside you start to study inside your consciousness. So there you have everything. Everything about your past, your history is inside yourself. So
Mhm.
when you start self-research, we begin to discover ourselves because we
Mhm.
have lots of lives, we have a lot of experience from the past. The past is much bigger than the present. I repeat this and emphasize this because it's very serious. You can, we need to have maturity to deal with our memory. When we are irritated, we are ashamed, for example, we are disgusted something, we are annoyed, disturbed by some behavior of our colleague, our family, our parent, our familiar. So we have these reactions occur by because some time of memory is evoked, some kind of memory that behavior can start in yourself. So it's very
Mhm.
serious. You start a self-research to identify the way of you react about everything. So you have
Mhm.
conscienciometry, lab techniques. We have laboratories here in Foz do Iguaçu, in CAEC, to to do some experiment about self-research. So
Mhm.
nowadays you have a lot of techniques and methodology to start and go deep in your self-research.
Mhm. A lot of resources, different resources, right, Roberto?
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of and lots of people, a lot of
Mhm.
researchers. So
Yeah.
to discuss, to debate, and we have a lot
Yeah.
of activities to to discuss this idea. But in yourself, you have the main things. Né? For example, your
Mm-hmm.
parapsychic signals. You have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
signals, energetic signals, emotional signals that can show you what about show you about your reactions, the behavior, your temperament. The temperament used to change feel. It's very slowly the change of
Slowly.
temperament,
Uh-huh.
very slowly.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of things to do.
And do you think that the ego defense mechanisms can reach the point to block, for instance, psychic experiences or retrocognitions, for example?
Of course,
Because it
total.
affects, right? But can it reach the point to block completely? Do you think?
Yes. Why it block? Because most of our experience deal with emotions.
Hmm.
Our memory used to retain the memories retain from the past, the events that are stronger. So we used to guard, to keep, and sometimes we evoke this during the relationships. So the way of
Hmm.
the people uh, show you, ask you something, for example, people used to have behavior from monarchy. Yeah, a lot of
Hmm.
lives in monarchy, aristocracy. So the way, sometimes the way they treat, ask something is very at different level. So, for
Hmm.
example, the way of deal with the other in the vertical way.
Hmm.
So it sometimes it can provoke some reactions, no, about
Hmm.
the power, the way of the other to criticize the other, and no, and so the reactions of emotion can appear and provoke some conflict with the others. You have a lot of different ways to evoke this memory. So we have to study ourselves to locate, to identify this kind of reaction, this kind of memory, and recycle this. You are in another life, a new life. You can change your way of life, your behavior.
Hmm.
So that's why conscienciology exists to help us to change the way we are thinking, the way we are reaction, the way we are behave. So that's what I think is very important. So retrocognitions, the fact of the past, is just one of the source of research. It's very complex, a very complex source of research because it's about uh, the more the most part of us. The most part of us is in the past. Yeah, the
Hmm.
present is a very short part of us. That's the fact.
Very nice. Uh, So talking about this difficulty, this challenge, because dealing with all these aspects and variables of the Seriexological research, it's actually a challenge, right? Uh, so, in your experience, what do you suggest to whether a newcomer or new Seriexological researcher or a veteran researcher? Um, how can we prepare ourselves to face and to deal with ego defense mechanisms, especially in the beginning of the Seriexological research?
From
I'm
Paul.
not that veteran, but I think the basis of that is to understand ourselves, do a self research as hard as you can, as most as you can, as deep as you can. We have many kinds of tools to do that in conscienciology, especially. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
From that on, we can maybe, have some guesses, tracks, tips about personality we have in our view that can be might have been us in the past. But this is the most important point. We understand ourselves and know how we are, how we behave, how we, you know, interact with people, interact with ourselves, and understand ourselves. Um, One thing which I think is very important is to understand our wishes in behave, because our wishes in behave tend to be old. So things that we do now and sometimes we don't like, or maybe things are good, are strong traits of us, we already had from many centuries maybe, and these things we do the same again. Sometimes we do the same good things and we made the same mistakes. When we research people in the past, we have to try to match these things, the cycles in life we pass through, and see the things we done in repetitively. So if we made this kind of mistake, even in another context of life, we have to see the 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 core of our behavior, because sometimes we are in a different context, sometimes in a different gender, but the temperament is the same. If it's aggressive, if it's tender, if it's positive or not, if it's depressive, and if these kinds of characteristics is in our temperament and it is makes sense in the other personality we are studying, we do things again. We made mistakes again. We develop strong traits again and more and more. So all this bunch of things we have to sometimes have to chop these up to things to get things separately, then get together and see how the things go in our personality now and this personality we are studying in the past as well.
Yeah, I agree with this, and I just complement that. I think the ego mechanism of defense is, as we have discussed, used to block our memory. Why? Because, uh, as I had said, the memory is in our daily lives, the memory from the past. So when we react with some friends or family, a member of family, and the professional relations, we have lots of way of mechanisms that from behavior, different behavior. So the past used to appear in these occasions, in different occasions of our daily life. But if you are not conscious of this, you used to react as in you react in the past. For example, trying to to make but a more politic behavior, avoiding saying the truth, for example. So it's a very, very wrong way to deal with the reality. So the main thing is to be extremely uh, concerned about the reality. We have to face the reality with the most professional way, most rational way. Because without this, there is a technique very animal to deal with this. The guinea pig technique. We have to research. When we are researching, we are discovering some traits of us. We discover some epoch, some period of the history that we are more related with. For example, if you have a past, some interest in navigation, some part of the military militaries, uh, for example, the how can I say the for example the kung fu, for example, some art,
Martial arts.
martial arts.
Martial arts.
Yes. So you have a different way to express your past. So you have to collect this. What trait from the past you are used to manifestate? So you are discovering these traits, and sometimes it's good. Is an intelligent. Yeah, I think so. An intelligent strategy is to deal with it being a guinea pig. You are going to publish some article or even a book or something related with, but you are saying about your behavior, about this context of history. So yeah, a lot of things to do to deal with the behavior, to deal with this memory. This is our memory from the past. So we have a lot of things to do to face this real big past that we have in our daily life, as I had said.
And
No
one
problem.
thing, I think we should always watch out for the activities we might done in the past and had moved as the time went on. For example, sometimes, as Roberto said, sometimes someone was involved with war, with a military things for lives and lives, and now he deals with sports and thinks sports is healthy, it's good, nice. All right, I agree. But sometimes it's the kind of way this person have to uh, put the aggressiveness out and the competitive out as well. It's only a new layout, but the spirit, I mean, the temperament in the activity is the same one. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to kill anyone anymore. So it got better, but it's a way to understand and to translate the behavior we had in the past nowadays.
So we can say that it's a question, right? Can we say that even the self-defense, the ego defense mechanisms that we present or we most usually use or apply in our the way we react to the situations in our daily lives, even these ego defense mechanisms can be repetitive. For instance, well, a single consciousness, for instance, if I use denial most of the times as a self-defense, as an ego defense mechanism today, can this be a common trait with a past life in a other life that the person, myself in a different life, have the same most commonly used self-defense, ego defense mechanism? Can that be, even the ego defense mechanism can be a source of self-research and a point of similarity with personality, consecutive personality? Do you think that can be done? That can be a source of research?
Definitely, yeah, it
Okay.
can be. It's part of our temperament, how
Mm-hmm.
we deal with contradiction, emotions that we don't wish to have, and how we deal with reality and the facts. So it's definitely a
Mm-hmm.
way to understand
Mm-hmm.
and to do a better self research and a better um, seriexological research. That's what I think.
And if someone, for instance, doesn't, can't cope, with this research process, self-research process, and dealing with the ego, his own ego defense mechanisms, what what this person can do, what can be done when someone identifies the, the ego defense mechanism but can't cope with it? What are the you know exit ways and how to overcome the situation?
Consensiometry to begin with, then consensual therapy. What I think is we must see the difficulties we might have, and it doesn't mean we will know everything that will be hard to deal with, but when we prepare ourselves to and we open ourselves to the things we might discover in within us, um, it's better. And start, studying Seriexology and yourself with consensiometry and consensual therapy if you need. We always need anyway. But I think it's the first thing to prepare ourselves and start. If you like to understand history, start you know study the past, read about the past, see the periods of the human history you like the most, or you think more interest in, then try to match and put yourself in these kind of contexts in history, even though if you don't have a specific personality you are interested in studying in. But if you try to understand yourself and the periods of time and the things in history that pull your attention, maybe it's the first step to prepare yourself to cope with your problems and things, the challenge you have ahead in the self research and the seriexological research as well.
I think there is a basic rule in the self research in the sexology, and especially retrocognition, about retrocognition. We need to be extreme in open-minded way to face the things, the facts and parafacts. So be extremely open-minded. So, for example, I used to say that you should have been a prostitute, a slave, a soldier, a king, a queen. So it's very probable that you have had this person in our history. So be relaxed and face this as a challenge to know yourself. Well, how many lives did you pass by as a slave, as a military, as a member of the court, the monarchy? How many lives did you have? So we have a challenge to identify this, because you can identify this just facing and research about your reactions, about our behavior. We have a lot of techniques, especially in conscienciometry, that help us to identify some aspect of our way of thinking, way of behave. In the Seriexology, we have different courses also that help us a lot of, such as heterocode. The heterocode help us a lot to identify some groups, holotosanies, that have a relation with our past. You can identify this in a few days if you don't have any clue, any suspicious. We can help you to identify in a few days. So, because why? Because we have the past in our present. We have the past in our day lives. So there is no way, I think so. You have to face this. You have to start the self research, identify these traits, and and think about how can I change our relation, our in our daily lives. And the result of this research, we start publish and see how the people react. If you are if you were wrong, you have some feedback, and so you change. If you are right, so it's good. You write down. It's a good result from your research. So be free, be relaxed to face this with serenity, with balance, because there is no. I think there is no way to deal with reality, because the reality is past is bigger than the present. So there is no way. I think the self research in retrocognitive way inside the Seriexology, I think in our level of evolution is one of the priority. There is no way to go on in evolution without think about our history, our own history.
We have no way out.
No way out. Yeah, one thing that while we were talking and exposing your ideas, I was thinking that when we have feedback, whether good, nice, or bad, or some sort of discomfortable feedback that causes discomfort to us, before we react to this discomfort or to some sort of whatever praise that we receive, I think it's a good point to actually pause the defense mechanisms, the ego defense mechanism, and try to observe ourselves, because our natural reaction, our first reaction, usually, if especially if it causes some sort of discomfort to us, it usually triggers our defense mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
This, yeah. This is a good sign for you start your research. Suppose you didn't start yet. So you have good signs to start your research now. the first thing that you annoy you, disturb you,
Hmm.
perturb you, you can study this reaction. Why this? When this used to manifestate? So you start the research in the past, probably the past, the big past. You show you how can you identify some details of these reactions. So and then you probably certain that you find in other ways, in other situations, different situation that you use to repeat this behavior. So
Hmm.
you you start to study this more deeply, and then you find that you have the responsibility about these reactions. Sometimes you used to be the same thing, that reaction, that thing that annoy you. You used to have that trait in that certain aspect of your personality. It's quite certain that is the reality. You are
Hmm.
responsible for that trait also, not
Hmm.
the other people, the government, the anything, anybody else, but yourself have responsibility about that.
Right. That's why it's so important to have feedback, right? And to actually publicize somehow our research, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very
The
nice.
guinea pig technique always
Yeah.
functions.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
from one side or the other side, you when you are exposing yourself, you make clear that
Hmm.
the reality of yourself. Uh,
Hmm.
so we are doing self research. You publish about that. So
Hmm.
we are in the acid test. The
Hmm.
acid test is very effective in
Effective,
self
right?
research.
Hmm.
Theoretically, we are the best version of our all our lives in the past. So if something take us out of our control, and we avoid that, we still be in our comfort zone, which is not good. So when we discover things that in the past are things that um, take us a little bit out, and now they still do it, which means we have to, cope and deal with it. It's a very good chance when we find out something that it's a weak trait that we must be, you know, uh, strong and face it straight away. It's a very good chance. We never know when we have another chance of that. And as I said, we are the best version of ourselves now.
Yeah, and the retrocognition, for example, is a way to disturb your comfort zone. The ego mechanism defense is a lot of mechanism to keep yourself on the comfort zone.
Yeah.
But when you have
Hmm.
real recognitions, you have some a source to disturb your comfort zone. So you are prepared to face it. Are you prepared to face it? If you don't like to way out of your comfort zone. So forgot retrocognitions, forgot them, because it will help you to keep you in the
Hmm.
comfort zone. Even though if you were a king, for example, if you discover if you are a king or a queen, or high level of power, even though you were someone like that, there is no there is no other way. You will be disturbed. There is no another. You can't escape this. If you were a
Mhm.
slave or if you, any kind of personality in the past. So the problem is the ego, the self consciousness.
So it will always shake the grounds of the person, right? A
Yeah,
retrocognition.
yeah.
Yeah,
It will
which
be
is a nice thing.
prepared
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
will be disturbed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, this 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 perturbation or this disturbed, it's not from created from other ones. It's created from
Mm.
uh, about you, from yourself. You yourself create this. So what you have to do? We have to face. We
Yeah.
have. It's your responsibility
Yeah.
to deal with this.
It's an evolutionary instinct, right? Our
Yeah,
evolutionary instinct that makes us, every once in a while, you know, shake
yeah.
our
It's
grounds
more
and
comfort.
move away from our
It's more
comfort zone.
comfortable to keep yourself in the comfort zone.
Right.
It's very obvious. Any animal uh, wants to keep yourself in the comfort zone. Yeah.
But
But
evolution doesn't happen, right? In the
yeah,
comfort zone.
when
Yeah.
evolution came around us, you can't keep yourself in the comfort zone. That it's occurred the extinction. The extinction
Mm.
is really like that. About speaking about evolution, just to have an idea, 99% of all species in the earth were extinct. So that's why we need to do with our bad traits. We have to extinct
Mm.
this. So to extinct this, we have to change ourselves. The comfort zone keep the bad traits, in a political way with the good traits. So balance with the good traits. It's not annoy me. I can't disturb the others. So that's good. It's a good life, but it's not evolution. Yeah, our self evolution is to face the bad traits that they used to have and change it along the time. There is no other mathematical scheme. There is no other
Mm.
one.
Mm. Very nice. Well, I would like to take advantage of the topic that the evolutionary topic we are talking about now, and like to ask you to both wrap up. We are reaching the end of our program here, and if you can, just say a few words to wrap up, compliment or whatever you'd like to share with us, whatever thoughts you'd like to share with us.
Yeah. Um, First of all, the subject about um, self mechanisms of defense and seriexological, I think it's close. We can learn a lot of seriexological things, studying the self mechanism of defense. And when we try to understand that we are programmed to defend ourselves, as Roberto said, in the nature, we the all any animal, any kind of life wants to defend itself, but we don't need to defend ourselves of everything now. So we when we defend ourselves in repetitively in in sequences, we don't understand and we don't um, realize we are doing that. As much we try to understand how we react to things, sometimes we can identify this kind of behavior and try to avoid it and or recycle this kind of thing because we defend ourselves a lot, normally much more than we really need. And as much we do that, um, more further further away we be from the perception of extra physical things and from our hollow memory as well. So as much open we have to we are as open people, open personalities. We are from the other people and from ourselves and from the studies we have in Seriexology. It's easier to identify and study more the personality in the past. Doesn't matter if it's us or someone else. It's clearer and it's easier to understand and to see the whole thing, the periods we are living now and the periods in the past. So I thank you for the invitation, and I enjoy a lot. Always talk about Seriexology, psychology too, and thank you so much for this evening. It was very pleasant. Thank you.
Good. So I just like to say, do not waste your time anymore defending an ego constructed or anchored in the past. You now have a lot of chance opportunities to change, to recreate or create a new ego, a new consciousness. So you have, this is the way of the main aim of the conscientiology. We have here to recreate, to recycle this ego. Because, as I had said, our ego is from the past, it's much, much bigger than the ego in the present. So take advantage of all of this source of research. You have the main source of research that is yourself. Your memory is the main important thing that you have is your memory. Think about if you can do something or exist without memory. You can exist without memory. So research our hollow memory is the most important thing that we have to do. And of course, after that, publish and help others to realize about the real reality of our consciousness. So thank you very much to stay with you. A good theme, and I'm here just to with gratitude for you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both. It was a very pleasant debate, very pleasant evening, right? I think that we shared lots of important thoughts and good ideas and advices as well, and experiences, right? And I'd like to, give this, take this opportunity to, well, João Paulo is one regular participant in the Minemo Connect, but Roberto, you are more than invited to return to future editions of the Minemo Connect. So thank you, guys. It was very nice to have you both here. Thank all the audience. And feel free to send us questions through the channel and to subscribe. And hope to see you again in future editions of Minemo Connect. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, guys.
See you.